The Simpsons didn't just change TV. They spawned a full-blown animated gold rush, with networks scrambling to clone the chaos of Springfield. Some shows nailed it and became legends, but most crashed, burned, and got buried deeper than Poochie's final scene. So what really happened to all the shows that dared to copy The Simpsons?
All right, movie, you better be worth it.
One of the first to try was The Oblongs, which came out in 2001. The Oblongs was about a strange family who lived in a polluted valley. The father, Bob, had no arms or legs. The mother, Pickles, used to be rich but now smoked constantly. Their kids had different issues from the toxic waste around them.
That darn cat!
The setup looked like The Simpsons, a family with weird traits living in a broken society. It also tried to mix jokes with deeper messages about class and health, but the tone was too dark. The characters didn't have the charm or warmth that people liked in The Simpsons. Many viewers said it was too sad or uncomfortable to watch. It only lasted one season before being cancelled. Later, it found a small group of fans who liked how different it was, but during its run, it didn't make money or get much attention.
My God, you poor destitute people gave up your few meager dollars for me?
Years later, in 2009, Sit Down, Shut Up tried to do something similar. This show focused on high school teachers who acted more like children than adults.
These are Deutschbogs, filthies. He's a teacher here.
Characters like Larry Littlejunk and Miracle Grow were supposed to be funny because of how strange and silly they were.
Really? Well, you're almost there.
The show was set in a small town full of odd people, like Springfield in The Simpsons. But the writing wasn't strong, the jokes didn't land, the characters felt flat and unimportant. It seemed like noise with no heart. While The Simpsons used satire to show deeper problems in society, Sit Down, Shut Up didn't go beyond surface-level humor. After just a few episodes, it was removed from TV. The rest of the season was put online, where few people noticed. The show disappeared without much talk.
It's time all of you start acting your age.
Then came Alan Gregory in 2011. It followed a spoiled 7-year-old boy who had to leave private school and go to public school. Alan thought he was better than everyone else and acted in strange ways. The show had a family like The Simpsons, but the parents were even more messed up.
I saw what you did, and I can't tell you how much it meant to me.
Richard, the father, was pushy and proud, while Jeremy, his partner, was quiet and awkward. The idea was to show a rich family losing power and facing the real world. But Alan was not likable. Viewers didn't care about what happened to him.
Hey, Alan Gregory.
Just leave it alone, Pat. It doesn't concern you, okay?
The jokes were awkward and the stories felt forced. It didn't have the mix of fun and feeling that The Simpsons had. People quickly turned away. It got bad reviews and the network canceled it after just one season.
I'm sorry.
Don't interrupt me. This is hard enough. You're sorry.
In 2007, the Nutshack tried a different angle. It followed two cousins, Phil and Jack, living in Daly City, trying to be adults. The show was meant to be edgy. It used a lot of crude jokes and tried to shock viewers.
Hey guys, I'm buzzing.
Like The Simpsons, it had a chaotic family and a wild world. But everything about the show was poor. The animation looked cheap, the voices sounded off, the stories didn't make sense. It wasn't funny, and people didn't know what the point was.
Hey, are you two fadgers gonna kiss now? Oh!
During its original run, almost no one watched it. Years later, people started joking about it online. It became a meme because of how bad it was. Some watched it just to laugh at how strange it looked and sounded. But that attention came too late. The show failed during its time on air.
I am the leader of all of these idiots.
Going back further, Family Dog aired in 1993. It had a big name behind it, Steven Spielberg. The show was about a family, the Binsfords, but told from the dog's point of view. The idea was new.
Come help your insensitive father find his ring.
What's it look like?
Like The Simpsons, it showed a family with problems in a normal neighborhood. But the dog was the main character, and he didn't do much. The parents were selfish, the kids were rude, and there was no one to root for. There were also delays in making the episodes, which hurt the show's timing. When it finally aired, it felt slow and boring. Viewers didn't like it. Even with Spielberg's name, the show was canceled after one season. It never got a second chance. One of the weirdest attempts was the Brothers Grunt, which aired on MTV in 1994. The show was about a group of gross-looking creatures trying to find their lost brother. The characters had strange names like Frank and Bing. It tried to be shocking and weird.
And now, the placing of the down.
The creators thought that pushing limits and showing ugly characters would make it cool for adults. They also tried to add family themes, but it didn't work. The animation was hard to look at. The story didn't make sense. There were no clear jokes or lessons. Viewers were confused and turned it off. Many viewers hated it, and the show was canceled quickly. It is now remembered as one of the worst cartoons ever made.
You five must go on a team.
However, a few stood out and became very successful. These shows used some parts of The Simpsons, like the family setup, silly humor, and jokes about society, but they also added their own ideas. That's what helped them last. Shows like American Dad, King of the Hill, Futurama, Family Guy, The Boondocks, and South Park all started with similar ideas, but each of them found a way to be different. One of these shows was American Dad, which began in 2005. It followed a man named Stan Smith who worked for the CIA and had strong political views. He lived with his wife Francine, daughter Haley, son Steve, a talking goldfish named Klaus, and Roger, an alien who lived in their attic.
Hey, Bong Brain, you have the last gold blunt wrap!
The show started with a setup that looked a lot like The Simpsons. A dad, a mom, 2 kids, and weird humor. But what made American Dad work was how it used Roger's character. Roger could become anyone, dress up in crazy costumes, and act out different lives. Over time, the show focused less on politics and more on funny, over-the-top stories about the family and Roger's adventures. Even though people said at first it was just a copy of Family Guy or The Simpsons, the show found its own fans. It moved from Fox to TBS and kept getting new episodes. Many fans liked how it stayed funny and creative after all these years.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to verify those alleged breasts.
I'm not falling for this again.
Before American Dad came along, there was King of the Hill, which started in 1997. This show was slower and more realistic than The Simpsons. It was about Hank Hill, a man from Texas who sold propane and cared about doing the right thing. He lived with his wife Peggy and their son Bobby. The show also had other neighbors like Dale, Boomhauer, and Bill.
An F in English? Bobby, you speak English.
Like The Simpsons, it took place in a small town and followed the ups and downs of a regular family. But King of the Hill wasn't full of wild jokes. It moved at a slower pace and showed normal problems in a funny but quiet way. It talked about family, work, values, and how people changed over time. Even though it never became as huge as The Simpsons, many people loved it for being real and honest.
You finished?
It ended in 2010 but stayed popular through reruns and streaming. In 2025, it will come back with a new season on Hulu, which shows that people still care about it.
Yes! Yes!
While King of the Hill stayed close to real life, Futurama went in the other direction. It first aired in 1999 and was made by Matt Groening, the same person who created The Simpsons. The story was about Fry, a delivery guy who fell into a freezer and woke up 1,000 years later. He worked for a space delivery company with a group of strange characters like Leela, Bender, the robot, and Professor Farnsworth.
Shut up and take my money!
The show used the same kind of funny, smart writing that made The Simpsons popular, but added a lot of science fiction ideas. There were spaceships, aliens, and jokes about the future. What helped Futurama stand out was how it mixed jokes with sad or sweet moments. Some episodes made people laugh and cry at the same time. The show was canceled more than once, but each time fans brought it back. It started on Fox, moved to Comedy Central, and later came to Hulu in 2023. It proved that even if a show ends, strong stories and loyal fans can keep it alive.
Wow, this got here just in time.
At the same time, Family Guy also came out in 1999. It had a setup that looked almost exactly like The Simpsons. A silly dad, a caring mom, a smart baby, and a talking dog. The dad, Peter Griffin, was loud and foolish like Homer Simpson, but even more over the top.
I think I speak for all of us when I say I am over The Simpsons.
The show used fast jokes, cutaway scenes that had nothing to do with the main story, and lots of wild humor. At first, people didn't know what to think. It got canceled in 2002 after just a few seasons. But when the DVDs came out, they sold really well. The reruns on TV also got strong ratings. Because of this, the network brought the show back in 2005. Since then, it has kept going. The show's humor can be rude and sometimes upsets people, but it also keeps a lot of fans who enjoy its wild style. It's still on the air today and has become a big part of pop culture. Not all shows copied The Simpsons just for laughs. The Boondocks, which began in 2005, used the family format to talk about deeper issues. It followed a black family, the Freemans, who moved from Chicago to a mostly white suburb. The main characters were Huey, a smart and serious boy, Riley, his wild younger brother, and their granddad. There was also Uncle Ruckus, a character who often said shocking things about race.
It says, I'm 102% African, with a 2% margin of error.
The show looked at American life through the eyes of a young black child who saw the problems in society. Like The Simpsons, it used humor and cartoons to make people think. But it focused on race, politics, and culture in a way few cartoons had before. The writing was sharp and the topics were bold. It only ran until 2014, and a reboot that was supposed to come out later got cancelled quietly in 2022. Still, The Boondocks is remembered as one of the most important shows to take on real-life issues through animation.
Shit. Nigga, I wish things had been different.
Then there was South Park, which also began in 1997. It started as a small cartoon made by two friends, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. The show was about four boys, Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny, who lived in a small Colorado town. At first glance, it seemed just like another funny cartoon, but it quickly showed it had something different. It used very simple drawings, but it made up for it with bold, direct jokes about real news, politics, and society.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
It moved fast, sometimes making episodes just days after a real-life event happened. This helped it stay fresh and in the news. It also wasn't afraid to cross lines, say things no other show would, and take risks.
License and registration, please. What seems to be the officer problem?
Over the years, the characters changed, the stories got bigger, and the show kept finding new ways to stay funny. In 2021, the creator signed a massive deal worth $900 million with Paramount+, which means South Park will keep going strong for years. Even though all these shows started by copying The Simpsons in some way, they each found their own voice. Some used crazy characters, some focused on real-life problems. Some made people laugh, while others made them think. But the one thing they all had in common was that they didn't stay as copies. They grew into something more. They showed that a good idea might start by following a great show, but to last, it has to become something new. That's how these 6 shows survived, and in some cases, became just as important as the show that inspired them. What other shows do you think copied The Simpsons? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.